Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I am your host, Justin Stoddard, and today I have a treat for you. At a time when the market is tight and everyone's talking about scarcity, not enough, lots of competition, today we're going to go in the other direction, and I have just the right guest to help you to think bigger. Now, if you're interested in going deeper on this topic, let me remind you that inside of the Think Bigger Real Estate group on Facebook, we're going to be expanding the conversation. So meet us there afterward. Today's guest, her name is Sarah Reynolds. She is the leader of the Reynolds team, based out of the Virginia area. She's expanding into West Virginia and Washington, D.C., doing some incredible things. Sarah Reynolds, it is such a pleasure to have you here.
I am so excited to be here.
Now, for those that don't know Sarah, you must have been living under a rock or something, but she's also co-host of the Empire Building podcast, which is one of the most popular. You guys have over 100,000 downloads, like in no time.
Yeah, I think we're up to 150 now. Yes.
You guys are just absolutely killing it. So if you're looking for additional inspiration on really not only that, but also she leads an organization called Amplify, which amplifies the voices of women-owned businesses. She's just somebody you're going to want to follow, you're going to want to stay close to. So super excited to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about your real estate production. So those that are my real estate friends can have some context as to really what you've built. You got in the business in 2006.
Yes.
And over the past 14, 15 years, it's been quite the ride, hasn't it? Tell us kind of over the past couple of years what you guys have been up to when it comes to production.
Yeah, so we have been working on my passion, which is 100% team building and growth. And over the last 5 years, we've grown on average about 54% year over year. So last year we did 15 million in gross commission income, right under 500 million in production. And this year, right now, we're pacing to do about 800 million in production, about 25 million in gross commission income. And that is a team that's across multiple locations. So we service the entire DC metro market, so Washington, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And then we have multiple location teams, multiple expansion teams in Richmond, Virginia Beach, Atlanta, and our newest one, Denver, Colorado. And so we've been growing, and we follow a centralized expansion model. So we have a powerful inside sales team here at the hub, and having fun while doing it.
How many agents does that consist of? I mean, just amazing production numbers. How many licensed agents do you have in your expansion network?
Yeah, last year we had about 48 agents do the 15 million, and we do onboard 15 at a time, and it takes them time to ramp up. Right now we have 70 agents that are right now pacing at the 25 million in gross commission income.
So fun. What an impact, right? Let's go back to 2006. I think probably more people can relate to 2006 Sarah than to 2021 Sarah.
True. That's true.
So if we could go back in time a little bit, did you ever think that you were going to build something this big? Like, was it ever in the cards of like, I want to do something really big? Or was it like, I just want to pay my bills and be a good mom still?
Yeah. I mean, even being a good mom probably wasn't on the list then, but I was just graduated from college, and the reason I got into real estate was actually just to help my mom. So she had back surgery. She's been in the business since 1988. She had back surgery and needed help showing houses. And I joined her, and honestly, I thought it was temporary. In 2008, I was going to quit and go back into retail and work that sort of corporate ladder because I enjoyed that. And she said, you need to be in charge of the team. And so I started building the team in 2009. At the time we were doing about 50 families, 50 to 100 families closed. And I started building it in 2009. That's when I still, to this day, I have to pinch myself almost daily. And I struggle with the imposter syndrome stuff too at times of just like, this was not the plan, or, I feel like God has gifted this to me and gifted my team to me. And it definitely was not planned out. I am a models person though, I will say, and I did follow the model, and I followed models and made sure I studied businesses. And so in the back of my head, I guess I knew it was possible, but I wouldn't say that I that was what I was seeking, if that makes sense.
So it took about 3 years. It sounds like from 2006 to 2009, you were learning the business. Really, at one point, had your eye on the door, right? It's being like, okay, I've done what I was supposed to do here. I helped mom. Time to go back to my path. And then all of a sudden, something triggered you, right? That caused you to be like, I can go bigger with this. And it probably wasn't all at once, right? It probably wasn't some angelic visitation. I'm assuming. How did that happen? At least, I guess you probably left yourself open to it. But can you point back to some things where it said, you know what, I want to do this bigger than just what I can handle myself?
Well, I actually did have an angelic moment.
Please do share.
Yeah. So 2009, that was now 2010. So when I started building the team out, I started following the MREA model, Millionaire Real Estate Agent model. And we first followed it with having the 2 assistants. So that was my first thing I did, was making sure that we were doing that. Once me and my mom couldn't handle the listings and buyers that we were generating, we hired our first buyer's agent. And that was in 2010, 2011. I would have to go back exactly when that was. And I hired a girl who's still with me today. She's my amazing director of growth, Sasha Hoptiak. And I hired her as my buyer's agent. And she was with us for about 9 months and just was doing a phenomenal job. And I didn't know what I was doing. I had never led anyone well, I led people, but I never led a buyer's agent, teaching them what to do and things like that. So she just followed me around. And that was the training then, was just like, this is how I do it. I don't really know what I'm doing, but this is how I do it. And so follow what I do. And she did. And she was going on a vacation with her family, and she sent me a text message. And in the text message, she said, I want you to know that before meeting you, I could barely make ends meet. I could barely know how in the world I was going to feed my family. And today I'm going on a vacation that I'm paying for. And it's only because of the impact that you've had on my life that has even made this possible. And that text message, I bring it up a good amount. And that text message is when I realized my purpose. And what I realized my purpose is to help our industry build bigger lives, and to help people that are amazing people, that have amazing hearts, have been gifted just remarkable strengths. But honestly, our industry is broken a little bit, how it's set up. And I knew that I could help them and impact their life. And I became addicted. I honestly became addicted to impacting people's lives. And that was the moment that I was like, team building is what I'm here for. And I'm going to build this team, and I'm going to impact their life. And in return, the amazing thing about when you impact other people's lives is you end up being the one that is greatly impacted, much bigger than even the impact that you have on them. And that's been a gift.
Sarah, it reminds me of an affirmation that I look out at every day, which is the most selfish thing that I can do is live in mediocrity and not think bigger.
So true.
And I think oftentimes we think that by playing small, we're serving the world, right? I'm obviously leaning on the great quote from, Maya Angelou?
Yeah.
Obviously, we realize that, as she said so eloquently, is that doesn't serve anyone, including ourselves. The fact that you could have played small and been like, you know what, this is enough for me, and I'm going to stop here, and nobody would have judged you, right?
Yeah.
But what happened is that you were able to add more joy to someone else's life, and in turn, it becomes exponential and compounds for you, right? Because you get to see, and it's almost like when my kids have achievements, I enjoy those far greater than my own achievements.
Oh yeah. Yep. Well, and then what's amazing even later, I mean, it's been remarkable watching all the growth through all of those that are part of our team family, and now the listeners and things that are much bigger than even our team family. But what's been amazing now is seeing them do it. Seeing them think bigger themselves, and they are having, it's like this massive ripple effect of impact, positive impact on the world, on our industry. And it is, man, that is, people say, are you addicted to anything? I'm like, that. That's what Sarah Reynolds is addicted to.
You know, oftentimes people will say I'm addicted to success. I would describe what you're doing there as significance. And I think that's a much more healthy addiction, is to be addicted to significance, where you're gaining success. You're helping other people to have success, right?
I love that, because when people have said that to me about success, that's not. Yeah, I love that. Addicted to significance. That's awesome.
I think about, let's go back and maybe try and dissect a little bit for people that are out there that are really living in a really interesting market right now, right? Nationwide. I don't think a year ago, any of us would have expected what would have transpired the past year, right? There was this, oh my goodness, like, are we going to be shut down? Are we even going to be able to sell real estate, right?
Yeah.
And is everybody going to die? Like there were some real concerns. And of course, we've navigated some pretty stormy waters, and the real estate market has gone absolutely berserk, right? And yet that hasn't necessarily been to the benefit of everybody, right? We realize that there are people that are really struggling, getting turned down offer after offer after offer, right? And their buyers are just defeated, and or working to get listings. And even that, isn't always fun when you're having to turn down 20 other people telling them, right? It's not all fun and games on either side of it right now.
Yeah.
I think there's this tendency, if we go with gravity, which is to say, like, there's not enough, it's hard, it's difficult. And again, I want to get in, I want to kind of deconstruct what it feels like to think bigger, because I think people need it more than ever right now. And so a couple of things that I heard you say, obviously, is that if you can look to other people and make an improvement in their life, your life gets better, right?
Yeah.
What else would you say would be a real strategy or tactic that you utilize to not get caught up in that scarcity thinking when it gets easy to do so?
So what's at the heart and core of a scarcity-minded person?
There's not enough.
Which is what?
Help me. I don't know. I'm not enough. Fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
At the core of a scarcity-minded person is fear. And if I'm honest, which I'm always honest and transparent, that's something I always commit to when I speak, there's a reason that's on my desk. Because I think all of us have fear. And at times we don't want to admit, because that sounds not strong. It's way easier to blame the market or to blame a competitor than to look at ourselves and say, what am I really afraid of here? Like what am I really afraid of? And I think before we can talk about thinking bigger and overcoming like a scarcity mindset, I think you have to talk about fear, not controlling, but making sure that you're very careful around understanding, am I acting out of fear right now? And if I am, what do I need to do to make sure that I'm not operating from a fear-minded space, right? I mean, over the last year, we have seen fear control so much.
Yeah.
So much. Our entire world, right? And everywhere you looked, right, it was fear. And what ended up being really difficult is, I'm a big believer, if you want to think bigger, if you want to have an abundance mind, if you want to overcome fear, you have to first make sure you're protecting your mind. Make sure you're protecting what gets into your mind, right? Yeah. I am very, very careful about who I talk to each day. I'm very careful about who I spend time with. I'm very careful around those things. And I don't want to be with those that are just swallowed by fear. Because what ends up happening is I will go down that road too, because all of us at the core of who we are struggle with fears. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but they do. And so first and foremost, ask yourself, if you're struggling with a scarcity mindset, ask yourself, what are you really afraid of? Like, what is it that you need to overcome first? And then the next sort of tactical thing to that is surround yourself by people that are abundance-minded people, that think bigger, that look at their competitors and say, I want to go be friends with them and I want to learn from them. And guess what? A rising tide lifts all ships. If I can get close to that competitor, we're going to rise together We're not going to hurt each other. We're going to rise together. And so I think making sure that you understand what the fear is and ask yourself, what am I afraid of here? Right. And then be so careful about who you surround yourself with. So careful.
It's almost as if we have the ability to choose our environment, right? It's almost as if we have the ability to choose our market. It's almost as if we have the ability to choose our teammates. Of course, I'm being facetious here. Of course we do, right? And we also have the ability to choose to turn off media outlets, right? I think it's interesting how over the past year, the media business has been cranking. Why? Because they put this little death toll ticker that everybody can't keep their eyes off. It's like a car in slow motion. I can't look away, which is like at no other time in history have there been that right in front of us all the time, which just leads to this like scarcity mentality of like terrible things are here. I have to watch it all day long. Right.
Yes.
And I think it's impacted, you're right. It's impacted the way that we show up in everything because everything is scary now. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. When everything was at the height of it and people were sending me article after article and all the updates of the media, and everywhere you turn, there was another article about someone losing someone. It was everywhere. Right.
Yeah.
And I remember someone said to me, like, you're living in you don't understand the reality or something like that. The way that you're operating, the way that your mindset is right now, like you're not seeing what's happening. And I say, oh no, you're completely wrong. I 100% see what's happening. I'm choosing to only focus on the things I can control.
Yeah.
I can't control COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I can't control what the next person beside me does. I can control what I listen to. I can control what I watch. I can control what I read, and I can control the people that I surround myself with. Mm-hmm. That's what I can control. And then I can control my actions that day. I can control the actions that I take. And for me, like I just am a big believer, focus on the things you can control. So if you're struggling in this market, like if you're with the low inventory and all of those things, what are the things you can control? You can't control the market. None of us can, right? But you can control how many people you talk to today. You can control what classes you take to improve your skills on winning in multiple offers, right? You can control who you surround yourself with by winners and those that are out taking market share still. Like, look at the things that you can control. And that always helps me. Like, don't get wrapped up. If you can't control it, it shouldn't be in your mind space, right?
It's interesting. My family contracted the coronavirus about a week ago. So we've been battling through it.
Yeah.
And, we're fortunate to be at an age and health demographic to where we're just fine, right? But it's interesting how much this disease, right, has been in my mind for the past year, when in reality, like the impact upon me personally is far less. And I really haven't been afraid of it. I've been concerned about it for other people, right?
Yes, of course. Yes.
But I would encourage everybody out there, how much time has the fear of, and we'll just use this pandemic as an example, but you could insert in any other big scary monster, whether real or not.
Yeah.
This equation. How much time have you spent worrying about it that you could have reinvested that same time into preparing for it, right? Getting healthier, right? I mean, like, whether it be a physical ailment or a market ailment or a whatever, I love what you said, Sarah, which is like, control what you can control, and you can control to be prepared, and to whenever that scary monster becomes a reality in your life, you are set up to still win, right? I think there's so much power in what you said right there that I hope everybody's taking this to heart, is that just because it is a real thing, doesn't mean you have to be negatively impacted by it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what was so, honestly, what was crazy about this, everything that we've just went through, it was like everyone was taught to almost live in fear. And then if you weren't, then you were called crazy or something, that you didn't think it was real or like, and I said, no, that is not the case at all. It's I'm making a choice. It's a choice. Every day we get up, we get to decide. No one decides for us, right? And if that's a victim mentality. If you think that everyone else gets to decide for you, you get to decide the choices you make. You get to decide your actions. You get to decide who you hang out with. You get to decide what you let into your brain and into your space. And if it's something that you don't have much control over, and now it's important, I think, to be educated, but I would read like the morning brew every morning, 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. I felt like I understood what was going on in the world. And then I would go about the things that I can control. And I think that you can use that with anything. I mean, we're talking about COVID a lot right now, but it's not really COVID. It's like this market, right? We can sit around and just say, well, this is too hard and I give up, right? You can say, I don't want to have these hard conversations with buyers that just lost for the 5th time, or, all of those things. You could choose that, or you could choose the actions that you can control today. I mean, none of us control what is happening around us. There's so many things that happen each day that we don't control. You get to control you. And so that's what, focus on that. And that automatically brings abundance, because when we have control, we can be and do whatever we would like to do.
I remember as a kid being taught the phrase that an empty mind is the devil's workshop. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. One of my mentors had taught me to literally calendar out your day, like every hour is filled with something. And I think oftentimes the tendency is in this media rich, and it should be media poor, but media rich environment, is that whenever there's downtime, we immediately go to consumption mode.
True.
Whereas when we can fill our calendar with creation mode, right, creating the life that we want, creating the results that we want, creating the relationships that we want. And if left to default, it's very rare that will happen. And I would encourage one takeaway that you're reminding me of, Sarah, about being very intentional and choosing, is that sometimes you choose that in advance. You choose that the night before when you're actually filling out your calendar, saying, okay, I have an hour between these 2 appointments. What am I going to do with it? If it's scroll aimlessly, there's a good chance I'm going to come across somebody who politically or whatever is a little irritating, right? Whatever it may be, or the news or whatever, right? That's not going to actually give me the best chance of taking care of me and my family and the other people that I serve, whether it be customers, teammates, etc. But to be intentional about putting that stuff in the calendar. And I think our chances will go up. I don't know if you have a similar practice or thought process for being sure that those things get in there, right?
Yes. I mean, yeah, they're absolutely. I mean, well, I have 3 young babies and I'm a husband and a big business. So my calendar for sure is full, which does help. I mean, and so I would say it is important to have empty mind thinking space, right? But that's why I love the book, The Road Less Stupid, because he talks about what you should be doing during that time and the questions you should be asking yourself and things like that. And so it's not a, I like that quote too. I heard it a lot growing up, the Devil's Workshop quote. But that it's not that, right? As long as you have a purpose of that time, which is really the thinking, the brain power time, which your business needs you to have. That's so important. But no, having, it's a lot of bad things occur during boredom. So making sure your calendar have things on it, fill it up with the right things, time block the important things, and then you won't have a lot of time for getting distracted. Because that was part of it. Was I kept, and it didn't even dawn on me until you just said that. I mean, that's the best way to control it, is controlling your calendar. I didn't have time to watch the news for 2 hours a day. I didn't have time to scroll Facebook for 2 hours a day. I was out there, I was, or at home even, but I was filled up. I had things I was doing. And so making sure that you're not distracted and you have your calendar blocked with purposeful actions.
I think about John Maxwell. He has a thinking chair, right?
Yes.
And kind of to your thought about how do you still include in time to be quiet and listen. That was actually a thought that I had this morning. I was doing a spiritual study, and just this concept of just being still and listening. Not necessarily to other people, but whether it be the universe, whether it be God, like whoever it is to you, like listening for that quiet whisper that can give some of the best insight and guidance possible. And I think you can still calendar that in, right? It doesn't mean that every minute needs to be filled with rushing around.
Yeah.
But I know for me, that doesn't happen if I don't put it in.
What was the study you're doing?
It was scripture. So I was reading the Bible.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's, for me, that's a lot of my space, my white space, and my thinking time is the same, both reading the Bible, also praying, but praying in silence, like meaning just praying and staying quiet and staying still. And so much comes into my mind during those times. I always say, like, and God constantly surprises me, but like, he cares so much about our business, and it shows up in those like still moments when it's like, it's about me and my relationship with him, right? And it's like he's pouring into me things that he's putting into my mind or my heart for my people or whatever it might be during that time. And I'm always like, you don't just care about me as an individual. You don't just care about my people. You care about our business. You care about so many things that it shows up during that time. So for me, that is my time in the morning, to have that space and to have that thinking time. And then later, once the kids go to bed, then I've got a little bit more, but a lot of times I'm getting stuff done during that time. And so that morning time is so important for me.
You know, I found if people are out there, like, I would love that quiet time, right? Whatever it is that you believe. If you're wondering that quiet time, one thing that's helped me, because when I sit there early in the morning quiet, I tend to get sleepy, or I get or I'll grab the phone. Next thing you know, I'm scrolling or checking emails. But it's actually to have a pen in hand and be journaling. Yeah. Sometimes some of my best thoughts that really probably aren't mine, they're given, from a higher source. Yeah. It's just when I'm quiet and listening with a pen in hand and just writing the thoughts that come to mind. Yeah. And sometimes they make not much sense. Sometimes they make great sense. And it's like, wow, that's what I really needed to know about myself and my day and how I serve people at a higher level. So if anybody's kind of looking at how to get started, that's helped me, right? To get clear on that being quiet is just putting my thoughts out there, And
put your phone far away, or, like I get so distracted by my phone too. And so, and I'm getting, lots of messages every day. And the minute I wake up, our world is starting, and it can get distracting. And so just put it away for a short period of time, and you will feel so much better.
Yeah. And I think for everybody listening, I think this is a critical component of thinking bigger. You think like, well, I thought this was going to be like, oftentimes being quiet is the best way to think bigger. You're tapping into a more clear channel that allows you to really be taught, allows you to, even if it's just you meditating and getting clear on your own thoughts, or whether you believe in like input from a higher source, whatever that looks like for you, it's time that really allows you to clear the slate, and be prepared for bigger directions, be prepared for bigger thoughts.
Yeah, I think too, it, going back to what I said in the beginning, like having that quiet time is also when I'm like, that's when I ask myself that question, right? I ask myself that, like, what exactly am I afraid of here? Like, what at the core of it, if I start sensing any type of scarcity or any type of not abundant thinking, I ask myself, like, what at the core, what am I afraid of? And if you don't have time in your calendar, in your space to even ask yourself that question, right? Then that can be really difficult, right? And so making sure you have that time to ask yourself those questions and really, seek at the core of what it is, and then you automatically will start making adjustments once you even realize it. So.
And once you get to that question, let's go a little bit deeper on that, Sarah. Once you realize, okay, what am I afraid of? Right? An answer probably comes to mind of what you're afraid of. Do you go deeper on that? How do you really start to expose that to be like, okay, that's not that scary, or it is scary. Here's how I prevent against it, right? Which I think is the more productive thing, like way to deal with fear.
Yeah.
Like look at it in the face, expose it for what it is, and then create a plan to go around through it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I actually, our organization has been growing, and in my mind, we're still small, which is, people are always like, what? And we're going through this transition right now where we have to operate like a more corporate business. And I hesitate saying that word, corporate. Okay. But because of our size, right? We have to have, before I had deep relationships with every team member, and I've been able to do that for quite some time. But now it's getting to be that can't happen. And one of my team members asked me, like, what are you afraid of? When you put down a corporate business, what are you afraid of?
Good question.
And I started to cry. And I actually got a little angry at him for asking, because I was like, wow, you just called me out, right? But that was good. You want people that around you that will call you out. And I said, I'm afraid of not having those relationships with each person. And then I did internally later dig deeper. And I said, but if I have committed to impacting them and making their life bigger, the most selfish thing I can do is keep small and keep this business small to where they don't have opportunity. That is the absolute, if I'm committing to impacting their life and making their life bigger, I'm so selfish because I want to feel good about that relationship. That is the most selfish thing I can do. And so, yes, at times you do have to dig deeper and you have to, okay, what is the fear here? And is that really helping them, or is that really helping me by giving into that fear? And really many times you end up turning it and being like, you should be afraid of not doing that, right? You should be afraid of not thinking bigger. You should be because that's much worse, much, much worse, is letting them down by me not thinking bigger.
I was watching a video this morning that actually brought tears in my eyes on this very topic. This is going to be a little vulnerable, but I have a mentor in marketing. His name is Russell Brunson. I don't know if you know the name.
Yes, I know Russell. Yeah.
Okay. So it was a video in which he was reaching out to each of the people who he's inviting to speak at this upcoming, what they call Funnel Hacking Live in September. And he was FaceTiming them, asking them if they would speak on stage, which is a huge honor, right? And it was pretty interesting to see their response. You could see that they were overwhelmed with, like, this is probably the biggest honor of my career, right? To be able to speak in front of this entrepreneurial crowd. And it brought tears to my eyes. And I thought to myself, I'm excited for that day when I get that call. And please help me to stop playing small. Like that was like a kind of a silent prayer of like, help me to stop playing small, because I've got people out there that I need to impact. Not because I want to be on stage, but because I know each one of those people have impacted tens of thousands of lives for good. Yes. And this is just the kind of the recognition of the achievement, right? But the real achievement is the ripple effect of their impact. Yeah. And I think it became more clear to me at that point that there is some, it's not regret, right? Because that's not like I'm at the end of my life, but it was definitely a prod to say, let's go. There's people waiting for you to think bigger, and their lives are going to be impacted by yours. And the longer you delay, the longer that they're going to sit not being the people that they could be, right? Yeah.
No, that's amazing.
So this has been so fun, Sarah. I'm so impressed by your accomplishments.
We have so much in common, Justin. We've got to be friends.
We absolutely 100%. I was hoping you'd say that. Absolutely the kind of person that I want to be around, the kind of person that I want to be influenced by, because it's life's too short to be around people that cause you to think smaller.
Absolutely.
And, so this has been so fun. I want to thank you so much for everything that you've contributed here. Typically, we move to the signature question of the show, but you've kind of already answered that, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Okay. The signature question of the show is this: what is it that you do to continue to be a big thinker? Now, again, this has been the topic of the show, so I don't necessarily expect anything totally original here, but because that's just what we do at the end. We extract from people tips and tricks on what they do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand their possibilities. With that question in mind, what comes to your mind, Sarah?
Well, obviously everything I went over, but I would add, I intentionally hire people that are much, much, much better than me and much smarter, and will push me to think bigger. Like, I love a challenge, right? And when I'm leading an organization now of 170 families that rely on me, and those 170 people, in their own right could lead an amazing company, but they just choose to partner with me because they know we can do more together. It pushes you. So don't be afraid of hiring someone that you're feeling like, hey, you're not the smartest person in the room. That's good. That's really good. Surround yourself by people that will push your thinking, that will push you, that will force you to be thinking bigger. It's really a force thing. If I don't think bigger, we will not rise together. Yeah. Because I know that they will rise on their own no matter what, because that's who they were made to be. And so pushing me to think bigger. And so don't be afraid. Don't hire small. Hire big. Hire people that can do your job. And when you do that, you will automatically start thinking bigger.
It's really the only way to grow, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Sarah, I love your answer. I love our time together. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and all the commitments that you have, both at home, the most important commitments, and those of your team and your customers. It's been a total honor. And I want to remind everybody that's listening here today, 3 simple words. You hear me say it all the time, and they are go, think, bigger. Sarah, thank you for helping us do that today.
Thank you so much, Justin.